Okay. As you can see, I got some painting done. I went with the brown for the little table, which is going to be going in here. And this color grouping with this kind of Howard Johnson kind of thing going on here, the yellow, the orange, and the brown, is that color scheme I was talking about that I was kind of shooting for. Here is one of the chairs. And remember, I made 4 chairs knowing that I'll probably use just 2. And the reason I do that is because I always know there's going to be some that are a little better than others. These 2 I don't think are probably going to be used for this piece. Doesn't mean I won't finish them. I'll use them someplace else. This is an element that I can use. I mean, good grief, this could just be a chair for Maloney or some other little doll that I've created. So I'm probably going to use these 2. I'm going to do a little bit of correction in here. I don't like that. It's a little bit more hidden on this one. I think this is probably, of the chairs, I think this one's the best one. I still think I might do one more coat of paint, maybe. I feel as though I was a little smarter with the coats of paint this time. I did 2 coats of white, then I did a coat of peach, a peachy orangey but still opaqued with the white, and then the orange on top. And some areas have already gotten like 2 coats, so I think I just need to go back and maybe do some little bits of painting and some little bits of sanding and evening some things out. So you can see, I'm tipping into this, you can see that the little table fits pretty nicely here. I still have some little areas of, you can see some of the white popping through a little bit. And I also, I'm always very happy when I'm like, hee hee, I made a pattern. I made a pattern for the tabletop of this so that I know that there's elements I want to put on here, because I'm going to be using painted paper inside here and on this as well. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do another coat of the brown here, just to make sure those little spots, there's some little spots in there that are kind of bugging me. And yeah, I know a couple of them you won't see, but guess what? I'll know they're there, and that will bother me. So I'll come back in and paint those, and then I will, I'm just pulling out a random one here. I'm going to be using some of the paint pens. Thank you for helping me purchase these, my lovely patrons. And I'm going to be adding in some wood grain patterning and maybe some decoration along the edge in some different, more fanciful colors, like a little ribbon kind of thing. But I want this all to be like wood grain. When I say wood grain. I experimented a little bit with it in the piece, the 21 piece, the one that was the piece that has 3 pieces that come together. So yeah, you can kind of see this is looking a little hinky. And yeah, I do paint the backs of these because I know it's there. So I need to figure out what I want to put on the tabletop. And again, if I wanted to, I could simply trace this out like a tablecloth and put it right on top if I wanted to. However, my rationale for doing it is so that I could figure out what elements, what visual elements, how large I needed to make them. So I didn't spend a lot of time overcutting or undercutting and wasting paper and time. So I know what I'm doing with these. And for these, I just have a little sanding and some touch-up work. And then I think I am going to be adding some little designs, because as the more I've been thinking about this, is there's a part of me that is how do I put it? I want to be like adding on this kind of stuff, which I know is kind of in line with what is on the piece, the original piece I'm referencing, but also adding my own creative style my creative vision. So there's parts of me that I am taking, these disparate things and pushing them together through myself. I mean, this is artist experience. I have to admit that there's a certain amount of my style that is very referential. I'm reaching over here and I'm grabbing, I mean, come on, this face right here on Eversweet, that's a Fisher-Price face. That's a Fisher-Price Little People face. Where do you think I got the idea for that? Or I shouldn't say the idea, where does that reference for the artwork come from? I know exactly where it comes from. And when I say exactly where it comes from, I don't always know. Sometimes there's references in which I'm like, I'm not really sure where this came from. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that you can... This was something I was working on for a Halloween, Day of the Dead sort of thing. A little mock-up of something. And it's like, and where did that come from? Well, it came from a couple of different places, I think. So I'm going to do a little bit more work on these, and I'm really, really getting itchy to, now that I've got these elements done, I'm very itchy to add in these glass panel elements, these plexiglass elements. So I think I'm going to work on those today. And again, I have a pattern for that because for me, when in doubt, make a pattern. And when I say it's not always like the most complicated thing in the world, it's like take a tracing. Just don't be dumb. Take a tracing. Because I have changed a little bit where I want to position these. I'm going to be pulling them forward a little bit so they will be flush with one side here. And I know what I want to add for the bottom parts, how I want to glue them in, because I talked about that earlier in another video, so things don't fog. So basically it's held in place, not technically glued in place. Which I'm very excited to try. So, and I'm going to do a method. I call it the ARA method. You don't necessarily have to use Post-it notes, but because I just kind of put all this together, I can do a tracing of the back part, meaning I can just trace around the edges and then subtract the spaces. But there are other times in which you need to make something that's a little bit more accurate. And when you know something is a little wobbly, I will put, there's a Post-it note, and I tend to work with really small pieces, and I'll reuse Post-it notes, because you know me, I don't like throwing anything away. So, okay, and then I can pop this out, and I've got a piece here that I can measure, and I know this piece right here is going to be the same as this in here. So I need to do that, and then decide again what design elements make a pattern piece, kind of like this one over here, and then decide what design elements I want to put on it. Now in this I will be referencing my own creative lexicon of imagery, if that makes sense, which will be somewhat abstract. And some of those elements we've seen before in other pieces. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So hopefully I'll have some interesting stuff to show you the next time. These little chairs get, there's part of me that loves the fact that within my own brain, the unending sweetness and cuteness of little Pennsylvania Dutch designs and Fisher-Price toys lives right alongside complete abstraction and Dada and surrealist art. I just love that, because having them live together within my own art practice is interesting. So, thank you, patrons, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!